location change event whenever you switch between tabs. And yeah, so you can listen with your program to what the user is currently looking at, and I don't know, maybe fire off some other scripts or whatever uses you find for this. And there the script has opened another tab again, file HTML. And now I will switch to file HTML. And you see that the console output here has printed the location we are currently looking at. And once I change back, there is another location line appearing. So whenever we switch tabs, the program will get noticed. You can also use this to test usability or invariance of your websites. For example, you can conveniently highlight nodes of a certain class or certain node type or whatever to see whether what you think you found is actually in the browser what you want to see. In this example, I highlight all nodes that are links and have a class of download. And then I also print the href of each of these links and the inner HTML. So yeah, just so you see that I can get at all values within the DOM of Firefox. Now we wait 5 seconds, and now it highlights the 2 links that have a class of download. And in the console, you see that the URLs of the links and the text of the links has also been extracted. Can you read? I'm a bit late noticing that. Well, you have to believe me, but all the examples are also online, distributed with the module, so you can try to replay them. Yes, what else can we do? Because JavaScript is an important part of Mechanize Firefox, it wouldn't be fun if you couldn't send your own JavaScript and execute it within the site. A very basic example here in line 4 is simply sending an alert statement to JavaScript, which very unsurprisingly pops up an alert box from within Firefox. But what's far more fun, some websites use some very basic kind of authentication where they have the password or some other value within the page, but make you wait for like 10 minutes or something before you can submit the page, or you have to enter a password or whatever. The information is stored within the HTML, but mostly it is decoded using JavaScript, so you can't easily apply a regular expression. For example, in this JavaScript example here, I've used a simple concatenation of strings, but well, this one could still be easily solved using a regex. Yeah, but it gets to be an arms race, and why enter this arms race of writing a better regex for some more complicated expression when you simply can read the JavaScript variable directly from the browser. So yes, we can simply read the variable secret. We can also set it from Perl in Firefox. This involves a bit more code, but the first 3 lines are simply setup, loading the appropriate page. Then line 5, 6, and 7 are the interesting lines, we evaluate within the context of the page the expression secret, which is the name of the variable which holds the value that is of interest to us. And then we print it, and we also set a form value with our new value. Yeah, so it should again be 5 seconds, so I have time. And there, indeed, is the value we grabbed from the JavaScript expression and entered it into the field. Very convenient if you have some website that uses client-side hindrances to prevent you from actions. Or also very useful if a website creates its HTML dynamically by loading some JavaScript data structures and then building in JavaScript the real website. Another very fun thing to do is taking screenshots for documentation, because plain logging does not work if you have a multi-frame site and everything. So in case one of my scripts runs into an error, I simply save the complete page and also take a PNG screenshot so I can look at it and see, well, it just was a timeout or whatever, or it was a real programming error on my part, or simply a change in the website. And, oh, well, this is not prepared, and if you look here, you don't see any image file yet. And I'm going to be brave and try to take an online screenshot. And oh, that's it already, and hopefully this contains a screenshot of the PISA website indeed. So yeah, it takes a complete screenshot, even longer than the screen.
Extended screenshot.
Yes, and it also takes, at least when using it with YouTube, you also get the image of the ActiveX or Flash movie thing, so I think it even works with embedded objects and everything. I haven't needed it, but yeah, taking screenshots is a fun thing. Well, thank you. The prerequisites of Mechanize Firefox. Well, you need Firefox, obviously. You need the mods repo add-on from Firefox. Yeah, you just have to install it from GitHub. You also need the module mods repo remote object, also by me. This does the heavy lifting of transferring Perl values to Firefox and fetching Firefox data structures and converting them back to Perl structures. And you need WWW Mechanize. And yeah, then you're ready to roll and can automate the web. What's still missing? There is no asynchronous event model. Events get only fired if you either call Firefox or if you call a method or fetch a value from Firefox, then the module also checks whether some events have fired. It would be nice to have a real event model where you don't have to call, or even real asynchronous communication, maybe using any event, so it plays nice with PO or TK or whatever other event loop you have. What also would be nice, where if there was more encapsulated Firefox API. I mean, I have looked at switching in and out of full screen mode, yeah, many other things already, but yeah, there are still many things that I need to hunt down the information, and Firefox is relatively good or relatively well documented, but yeah, it's not perfect. Also, it doesn't implement the complete Mechanize API. For example, the post method is not implemented, and you also can't set any HTTP headers in Firefox. But yeah, well, I didn't have the need for it, so if you need it, you're welcome to patch it and send me the patch. But yeah. Another thing is it needs Firefox, so it would be great if there was a Firefox that didn't need a display attached. So you could even run it on the server or whatever. There are some nasty hacks like using, what is it, the VNC X server and then launching Firefox in there, but yeah, well, it would be nicer to have a small Firefox executable that just didn't need a window manager or whatever. Or to have a web browser or a DOM engine without Firefox, which is basically the same. And I think the JSN project does that, but so far I have Firefox, it solves my problems, so why should I switch? I've talked about crazy things already. You can open browser windows or close them. What's still missing is automating download dialogues. If the where do you want to save this file dialog pops up, this blocks your Perl application currently. There is, or I haven't implemented the way to capture this dialog and ask Perl where should I save this file. But you can abuse Firefox for file conversion, for example. You can convert HTML to PNG, as I already showed. You can convert SVG to PNG, because Firefox loads SVG files. You take a screenshot and you have converted SVG to PNG. And of course, you can also convert JPEG to PNG. Even more crazy things. You can abuse Firefox as a charting or graphing engine, because there is a very nice JavaScript charting engine Flutter, but it draws on a canvas, and yeah, you need to have JavaScript enabled to actually view the picture it draws from your data. And using this module, you can again take a screenshot, or not a full screenshot, you can also take an image of a certain element on a page, and so you can create PNGs from JavaScript generated graphics. So you can replace Inkscape, for example, with Firefox. You can also, because it operates over the network, remotely control a Firefox on a different machine. I've run my tests like that on Linux. I have a headless Linux machine, but I set up the environment variable. So I run my Firefox on my Windows machine, and on the Linux machine, all tests were still running. You can also abuse Firefox as a media converter. For example, you can resize movies using the HTML5 video element. You can step through each frame of a video element and create a new movie, resized or whatever. And I don't know whether HTML5 supports video input. I think so, because they want to replace Flash. And then you could have webcam access in Perl by using Firefox to access your webcam and then streaming the data from Firefox into Perl. Well, it is crazy, I admit this, but it might be easier than to install drivers yourself or trying to talk to the video hardware cross-platform when Firefox has already solved this problem. As I already said, all the sample code is